Today is Friday. It's the 3rd of April. This is Here First from Iowa Public Radio. I'm Michael Leland. Democratic candidate for Governor Rob Sands proposing term limits and cognitive tests for state officials and a new voting system as part of his accountability plan. More from IPR's Katarina Sestarik.
Sand is calling for term and age limits for elected officials, and he says candidates should have to take cognitive and civics tests to get on the ballot. He says prison time should be mandatory for people who steal taxpayer dollars. And he's proposing open primaries where Iowans wouldn't have to register as a Republican or Democrat to vote, as well as using approval voting for general elections. Sand says the current political system doesn't force politicians to solve problems. He thinks most Iowans would agree with his ideas for fixing that.
And I think it's time that we implement them so that people who are in public office actually have to resolve the issues that face Iowans in order to get reelected. They actually have to face competition, and that they aren't spending their time enriching themselves.
If elected, Sand would have to convince the Republican majority legislature to advance these policies. I'm Katarina Sestarik, IPR News.
Iowa could become the first state in the country to regulate prediction markets. Those are markets that let people bet on future events like elections, government policy decisions, sports, even weather. State Senate's passed a bill that would charge a state tax on prediction market activity in Iowa and require companies in the prediction market business to be licensed before taking bets. Republican Senator Dan Dawson of Council Bluffs says Iowa is taxing and regulating sports betting and gambling at state-licensed casinos, but prediction markets are operating without federal government oversight.
The state of Iowa has little to no information as to how many of these contracts are being placed, of what types.
Dawson says he's concerned about how much of the prediction market activity is tied to sports. Two top officials with Iowa's public employees retirement system are now on leave while allegations of misconduct are being investigated. The Des Moines Register reports Chief Benefit Officer Stephen Herbert was placed on leave Wednesday, and CEO Greg Samarysky was placed on leave Tuesday. Iowa Public Employees Retirement System manages more than $45 billion in assets for more than 400,000 current and former public workers in the state. Researchers at Iowa State have found that a method of washing plastic for recycling could contaminate the wash water with harmful chemicals. IPR's Mara Curran has more.
Iowa State researchers have found that a method of washing number 5 plastic for recycling can leave harmful chemicals behind in the wash water. They identified 2 types of phthalates that the CDC says may affect hormones and child development. They found that industrial soap transferred the chemicals from the plastic into the water. The levels increased through several wash cycles. Greg Kurzweiler, who studies food science and human nutrition at ISU, led the study.
We're seeing that these processes could potentially remove some of these other chemicals from its second life.
Kurzweiler says the challenge is removing the chemicals from the water. He says some facilities are already using new technology to treat the water and remove the chemicals from the entire process. I'm Mara Curran, IPR News.
A 4-day stretch of unseasonable heat in March pushed the month to near the top of the state record book for warmth. State climatologist Justin Glisson says one of the days was the hottest ever in March for Iowa.
On the 21st, Little Sioux in western Iowa hit 97 degrees during the heat wave that we had across much of the high plains into the Midwest, where temperatures were running about 20 degrees above average. So that 97-degree temperature at Little Sioux was about 45 degrees above normal.
Glisson says the month was about 5.2 degrees above average, putting it in the top 10 for Marches in Iowa. This is Here First from Iowa Public Radio. Animal agriculture is under scrutiny by consumers. People who eat meat are thinking more about the environmental impacts and the welfare of cattle and other livestock from farm to processing plant. As Harvest Public Media's Hope Kerwin reports, a university in Wisconsin is hoping a new augmented reality tool will give people working with livestock a better understanding of a cow's perspective.
Keeping a cow's stress levels low leads to better meat quality and milk production. There are fewer injuries on a farm when cattle are calm, and it's viewed as part of the ethical way to care for livestock. But identifying potential sources of stress requires an understanding of how cows see the world. That's according to Ashlyn Kirk from the Humane Handling Institute at the University of Wisconsin River Falls.
When you are designing facilities for animals. You're trying to imagine how they would experience it, but it really, you don't know unless you see it like they would.
It's why the Institute is now using augmented reality to let farmers and meat processing staff see their facilities through a cow's eyes. Kirk let me try out the new tool at UW River Falls meat plant. It starts with a black safety helmet that has a double-sided camera mounted to the front.
So this camera allows you to see essentially 360 degrees around you, except there will be a blind spot directly behind you, much like cattle have.
I tighten the helmet on my head and pull on the virtual reality goggles. The screen comes to life, and all of a sudden, I've got cattle vision.
Wow, it's like seeing through a tube, like only what's right in front of me is what's in focus versus everything on the side is very blurry.
That's because a cow's eyes are on the sides of their head, so much of what they see is only through one eye. They also see in shades of blue and yellow, what's called dichromatic vision. A red jacket or safety vest looks brown while wearing the goggles. Next, Kirk opens the door to the outside loading dock.
Wow, I cannot see anything at all. It is so bright.
So it takes a little bit longer for cattle's eyes to adjust?
It takes at least 15 seconds for the goggles to transition to the sunny day outside. There's another lag when I move back into the darker building. UW River Falls is the first organization in the U.S. to use the augmented reality program, which was developed by German software company Computer Output Management. Agricultural engineer Benito Vaiza came up with the idea after years of trying to use pictures to teach people about how different the world is for their animals. He says it's easy to miscommunicate with cattle.
Often we make mistakes, and we don't understand. Why does he stop here? Why doesn't he go on? And maybe he's getting aggressive.
In addition to cows, the German company has created pig vision and horse vision, and they're working on sheep next. They've sold or rented the system to customers across Europe, and the company in charge of meat production for McDonald's. The tool could help major restaurant and food companies respond to growing attention placed on animal welfare. Ron Gill, livestock extension specialist at Texas A&M University, says consumers are thinking more about the treatment of the animals they're eating.
So if we can manage the welfare of the cattle better through using these kind of technologies, I think it's a win for everybody.
He says it requires building empathy for livestock and creating systems that make sense for their natural instincts. In Wisconsin, Kirk says the processing plant staff and farmers who have tried out the technology leave with new ideas about how to make their facilities better suited for cows.
There's a lot of, I've been doing this for a long time, but I never realized why it was like this. Why cattle stop at a certain part.
That might mean installing different lights to ease their transition from trailer to barn, or simply changing the color of safety vests to make cattle feel more comfortable around the people handling them. I'm Hope Kerwin, Harvest Public Media.
Harvest Public Media is a collaboration of public media newsrooms in the Midwest and the Great Plains, including IPR News, covering agriculture, food systems, and rural life. And that's here first from Iowa Public Radio. I'm Michael Leland. Have a great weekend.